About how to get out of a chair, how to do exercises to improve your ability to stand. If you feel like you're stuck in the seat and you can't get out, this video is going to go into that. More importantly as well, not only getting out of a chair, but what happens if you fall? Can you get off the ground? Do you have the confidence to be able to stand if you fall? And can you get down to the floor? So getting out of a seat is one piece, and then getting down to the ground, getting up, all are important factors to make sure that we stay healthy and active and have the confidence to do the things that we want to do. So stay tuned in this video. I'm going to break all these pieces down, and then I will show you the step-by-step approach. A couple basic movements that we can do to help to get you into those positions. So number one is being able to externally rotate your leg on both sides. What do I mean by that? I mean the ability to put an ankle onto a knee and to push down gently and to be able to open up my left side of my hip. This is very important, especially if I'm going to go down to the ground and be in a cross-leg position. So it can be as simple as holding this position, holding it for about 30 seconds, and then switching sides and doing the other side. And what you want to notice too is my range of motion, is it pretty even, or is one side tighter and or painful? And if that's the case, pain is your guide, and you want to actually come out of that and just gently go into the position. Pain should not increase, but you're trying to get that range of motion pretty even. So that'd be the first thing. You hold it about 30 seconds to a minute, but you're externally rotating your legs to open up your hips. And notice too, as I'm sitting here, what I'm not doing is the typical American rounded back, rounded shoulder, computer posture position. I'm actually sitting up, tilting my pelvis forward and kind of sitting up tall. So that actually would be the first exercise to work on, is just learning how to sit tall in your seat. But second one would be opening up your hips and doing both sides. And then the next exercise is a sitting hip flexor lift. We want to wake up these hip flexor muscles that actually pull our legs through when we're walking, and it's as simple as lifting straight up. Getting my leg to come straight up, that knee to come straight up and straight down, and I'm only lifting about 3 inches off the floor. I'm coming straight up and straight down. You could do it for about 30 seconds to a minute per side. A minute's kind of long, might be 30 seconds. I'm going to do the other side, about 30 seconds. And I've essentially opened up my hip. I'm getting a little bit of hip flexor engagement. And then the last thing is you want to start to practice being able to get up out of a chair without using your hands. So without doing this, which so often, if we look at the side view of this position, how often do you see people standing out of a chair, but yet they've got to push, push, push with their hands? So our goal is actually, and you could have another chair, something stable at your sides if you need it, but the goal is to eventually get to the point where you can sit tall, you've got your shoulders back, and you can lean forward a little bit, and you're standing up, and then you're sitting down in that chair. Standing up and sitting down. And notice I'm basically doing a squat is what I'm doing, but being able to get up out of a chair would be a goal. So maybe, for the first couple weeks, you're practicing opening up one side, you're practicing opening up the other side, you're practicing those hip flexor lifts. And then you start trying to get out of your seat with less of a push. And maybe you can't get out of a seat without using your hands. So maybe you practice using a little bit less of a push and getting up. Maybe that's the movement. Is you just actively say, instead of, oh my gosh, try and arch your back a little bit, sit tall, and get your hips to wake up, basically. Get the muscles in your legs to wake up, and you're actually going to push a little bit less, focus on the legs doing the work, and standing. And the key to this too is that as we get older, our lower bodies start to shut off. They don't work as well. We start to kind of lean forward. We start to compensate, and our upper body tries to help our lower body. We want to actually break that chain, and we want to make sure that your lower body is doing work, because maybe after 30 we stop sprinting oftentimes. By the time we get into our 60s and 70s, like we said, we may never go to the floor. Well, you want to have the ability to go to the ground, to cross your legs, and you want to have the ability to stand up. Okay, so we'll break down in some other videos of some specifics to help you transition up and down off the floor. But this video simply is working on opening up your hips and starting to wake up your lower body and get you comfortable transitioning out of a chair without using your hands as much. And eventually you will get to the point where the goal is to where you can get to the point where you can stand without using your hands and getting back down to the ground. All right, we're gonna talk about getting down to the floor. How do you do it in the most efficient way, not get injured, and do it to where you feel confident getting down and also getting up. So let's break it down. So number one, when you're getting down to the floor, you wanna get to a tabletop position. So an all fours position. So range of motion wise, now as I break this down, if you do not feel confident going down to the floor, don't do this. Do my video on exercises to improve getting out of a chair. Start with that one, and then I would progress to actually getting off the floor, and then the third video is getting down the floor. But I'm showing you right now, this whole video is going to be getting down the floor. So range of motion is you want to be able to get into an all four position, and you're going to put more weight on your dominant side. I'm a lefty, so as I go to an all four position, I'm going to get to here. I'm going to put a little bit more weight in this left arm. I'm keeping points of contact, left, right, left, right. So all four are at points of contact, and I'm actually going to lower my left side of my butt to the ground, and then I'm coming down to the ground. So notice that when I did that, I went all fours, I externally rotated, meaning that I opened up. I just opened up my left hip, which I talked about in another video, but I opened up my left hip, and then I'm able to just sit back onto that hip. And transition-wise, you actually want to be nice and smooth. You don't want to be just falling and slamming. And if you're doing that again, that's where you tend to get injured. But if you are not able to get to that all four position, you can also use a chair, and you can go all fours and then bend down to a knee, bend down to another knee. Then you can go to all fours, and then you can slowly lean to one side, and then you're down to the ground. If you find yourself in a situation where you fell and you need to stand, but you actually have trouble transitioning from a fall or from the floor to get up, this video is going to break down step by step how to get up in the most efficient way. And we can think about this in terms of a couple different positions, but I'm actually going to start you in a seated position for this video. So if you were on the ground, you fell, how do you get up? Well, a couple things. Number one is, if you can get to a position where you're cross-legged, that's a good kind of neutral, catch your breath position, kind of get your bearings. Once you get in that position, then you're going to try and transition onto all fours. How do we do that? You're going to lean to your dominant side. So typically, strength-wise, if you're a righty, you probably would lean to your right. I'm a lefty, so I'm actually going to lean to my left. And as I lean, I'm going to open up my hips a bit, and I'm going to transition to all fours. So I went from seated, and I'm trying to flip over to get into an all four position to where my hands are touching the floor and both of my knees and my feet are on the floor. So kind of toes touching the floor. Transition to this position. Once I get to this position, this is actually probably the hardest part of where people get stuck transitioning up. If you have a chair, I'll show you two ways, but if you have a chair, you're going to slide the chair here. You're going to square up facing the chair, so your hands are touching the chair, your knees are facing the chair. Basically, you're squared to the chair, and then you're going to lift your dominant leg forward. And just showing you in the video, you want to make sure that this knee and this foot is pointing in the same direction as you press down, so that you don't get any shearing force, you don't get any rotation at that knee capsule. We don't want twisting at the knee capsule where the knee is going in and the foot is going out. That hurts me just showing you that. So you actually want the knee and the foot pointing in the same direction as you press. But for me, typically, I'm a lefty, so I'm left side dominant, so I would put this foot forward and I would curl my toes under and press. So I'm pressing with this knee, and I'm also pressing with this knee a little bit, stepping forward. And then I'm standing slowly. I'm not going to go all the way up. I'm actually going to stand slowly. And then if I fell, I would actually take a seat here and get my bearings. If you were going to transition without the chair, you're going to go into that tabletop position. So again, if I'm here, I'm going to transition to where I'm facing the ground, all four position, and then whatever side is dominant, I'm going to step that leg through. We'll say my left. I'm going to step up, step my right. Now I'm on all fours, and then I'm going to slowly come up. And again, I'm not going to go vertical, potentially fall over. I might catch my bearings, wait for my body to get to an equilibrium position. But that's the transition process of getting from the floor to standing, using an aid, as in a chair, a couch, using something to help you get up, versus there's nothing there and you got to figure it out, flipping over onto all fours. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned for more videos on balance, transitioning, getting out of a chair, falling, and things to help you living healthy and active in the 50+ population for the rest of your life. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video.